Car 81 being pushed through the pit wall.
10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, black, 2, 1, and
Thank you.
roll L3.
Thanks, Mary. Welcome to the Circuito de Jerez for the first of two races that will decide the world final title for the Pro and the Pro-Am classes. It's a beautiful day here at Jerez. We've had rain during the week, but now it's set fair. My name is Bruce Jones, and alongside me I have racer Jack Bartholomew to talk us and you through all that lies ahead. There's a 50-minute race with an enormous amount at stake, but it's the first of two races, one today and one tomorrow, and you score points from first down to 10th place. Then those are added on aggregate. That's quite simple, and we'll find out who are the world final champions in the Pro and Pro-Am classes. The stage is set, Jack.
Yeah, it's looking like it's going to be an absolutely fantastic couple of races. We've got a couple of guys out of position today, which, you know, for us as spectators is super exciting, because that's what we want. We want some fast people trying to come through the field. I think it's going to be action-packed all the way through.
Well, I tell you what, the atmosphere is glowing on the grid, and I think we're going to go down with no further ado to Marietta Evans, who's going to grab some interviews for us.
Amaury Bonduel, Super Trofeo Europe Pro Champion, but can he also get back-to-back World Finals titles? Amaury, how are you managing the pressure of being the one defending the title?
I don't have the pressure. Just I do my best to manage very well the tire, because we have a lot of degradation in Jerez. But yeah, I do my best, and we will see if it's possible to have a podium.
Thank you, good luck.
So there is the sound of a driver who's actually not so focused on anything other than the start of this race. He's pointing it out. Right, very windy here. We thought would be a factor, but apparently it doesn't affect the cars too much. But he did talk about those round black things. Tyres, Jack.
Yeah, definitely. I personally have never driven on the Hankook tyre in this series, but I hear you really have to manage that, especially the rear tyre. It's very easy to over-push, and then the tyre really starts to drop off a cliff.
Well, let's talk to a driver from, we have the combination of the Asian Series, the European Series, and the North American, and one of the greatest names from that is Danny Formel, and he is with Marietta.
Danny, normally European Super Trofeo Europe drivers seem to have an advantage in World Finals because they know the track better, but you do know this track very well. We were here in 2019, so what can you do to keep this car in the fight for the win?
Well, first of all, it's my first time here in Jerez, so starting on Monday was a fresh track for me, but the team's done a fantastic job with their past experience here. New tire for us, Americans. The Europeans had the tire for one race before us, so it's been an uphill battle, but we've closed the gap. I think qualifying didn't really show what we had, so hopefully we have a great race. We had a really good race pace yesterday in the race 2 and North American round, so yeah, try to get a clean start, starting here in the outside of in P3, which is outside of this track. So super excited, super grateful for the team, everything they've done. The car's in a great window, and yeah, hopefully we could give a battle to these two guys.
Apologies, I haven't seen you so many times in World Finals now. I thought you were here in 2019, but good luck.
Thank you so much.
Well, he certainly brings an amazing pedigree there. North American champion in 2022, 2023, and ended up second this time around. So consistent excellence is what's... One thing to report, though, just spotted a car being pushed off the grid, and it's with a former World Finals champion, Frederick Schandorf. Should have been starting down in about 10th place, and car 81 has been pushed off. We can see, hopefully we'll find out what's happened to that. But let's go down and join Marietta, busy as ever, with Marietta Evans.
We were trying to get a quick word with Loris Cabiru, but he is now in the zone, so we'll let him concentrate and get ready for the race.
Yeah, certainly all minds have to be focused on what lies ahead, and the grid's still got people on it, but they are starting to disperse. The tyres are being wheeled away. And let's just point out, if you look at the windscreens of the cars, we've got the Pro and the Pro-Am runners. The windscreens are the red cars. The top left-hand corner has a red sticker, a little red triangle, and it's yellow for the Pro-Ams. And Marietta, moving across, have we got another interview with you down there?
Let's see if we can catch a quick word with Andy Lee. Andy, you guys are on the pole for Pro-Am, but with a lot of very quick Super Trofeo Europe drivers behind you. Can you keep this car on the fight for a podium place?
I think so, yeah. I mean, our car is just as good as anybody else's up here, I believe, and I think it was just a matter of luck and traffic. And so, you know, we're just going to give it our all and try not to make any mistakes on time, and we'll see how it all shakes out in the end.
Good luck.
Thank you very much, Marietta. Just noticing a message saying car 48 is under investigation, only passed through the pit lane once. Car 48, as I look down my entry list, is Andrea Fontana and Luca Segu, who was supposed to be starting that. So that's a potential problem for them. 50-minute race. Driver or a pit stop in the middle. Some of the crews are running solos, so they have a slightly longer pit stop, but it is a factor. It's going to be a scramble in. The pit window's only open, Jack, for 10 minutes. And, you know, you have to decide if you're coming in early in the pit window or late. And also, don't forget, in the first race, which was the AMS and the LC class cars, they had a safety car. Right, let's just move back down. While we can get interviews, let's grab them. Giorgio Amati down with Marietta.
Giorgio Amati, how are you feeling coming into this race? What do you think you can achieve in these World Finals?
I can't wait to start this race because I know the car is really good. I'm feeling really good with the track, so it's time to the Rumble Dumble.
How is the run to turn one on this track?
It's quite difficult because you have the uphill, so you are a little bit blind. You are looking the clouds, but it's really nice because you have more space to try and overtake and everything.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Well, Giorgio Marti starting for Iron Links from 5th on the grid, so he's looking set for a great result. And just again to point out what happens here is it's a two-part race. One race today for 50 minutes, Jack, and one tomorrow. Then you add the points you score, and you get a point if you finish within the top 10 of your ranking, but either in the Pro or the Pro-Am category. And only then will we know who are the title winners.
Yeah, it's you've got to be a little bit tactical. Again, it's no good going out there and getting damaged today. And, you know, say, for example, you damage your car at the start of this race and you have to drag damage and then you end up finishing further down. You just limit your chances overall. So you need to be smart, pick your places where you're going to pass, avoid any incidents, and try and finish as strong as possible. OK, well, let's for the first race we had today, which was for the AMS and the Lamborghini Cup, they got through the first corner OK, a little bit sorting out at turn 2. Then turn 4, we had a car fired off 3 abreast through a fast left-hand kink. Doesn't always work, and the gravel is there to sort of almost draw them in, but obviously we don't want cars in the gravel. But if they do go in, it stops them, but it also means they sometimes have to be removed, and that can lead to safety car periods, which I was just about to allude to before we went back down to the grid about a safety car deployment can absolutely scupper your race in terms of you think, right, I'll come in for a late pit stop, and then suddenly the safety car comes out. Yeah, especially in the Pro-Am category, you know, you might want to run long with your pro driver in the first stint. Safety car comes out and really ruins that plan. So you have to sit down with your engineer and your mechanics, have a plan of when you're going to stop roughly, and then you have to be flexible and, you know, adjust your plan as the race unfolds.
Well, feature eyes, we've just moved from the second row of the grid. This is the front row of the grid. Hampus Eriksson, Swedish racer, brother of Marcus. This could be his best result of the year if he's sitting there on the outside of the front row. That's the side away from the pit wall, but actually it's the inside line to the first corner. And in the first race today, with our pole starter, Stefan Tripudini, leaving a bit of space. He was on the pole starter. He moved to the was on the outside, moved a little bit wide, lost the lead. Let's see. That's the situation facing the driver of this car, which is Amaury Bonduel. He wrapped up the European title yesterday, but he did win this event last year. Came good to make good for not winning the 23 European title. Easy car to spot, and it's fantastic gold livery for BDR competition. But look, Huracan Super Trofeo racers, as far as you can see, 40 cars in the line. In fact, let's call that 39, because we did see, of course, Fredrik Schandorf's car wheeled off the grid, and that's a car that's had great success before. Couldn't see what the problem was for the Dane, but hopefully it's something they can get fixed, and then at least start from the back of the, not back of the grid, but from the pit exit.
Yeah, it'd be a shame to lose them because they're definitely up there with the top guys in Pro-Am. You know, Fredrik, a very accomplished driver. He's won it in Pro, although very controversially here 5 years ago. We won't go into that. It was all down to points and
you can if you want,
whatever.
but maybe just not now, Jack.
Yeah, exactly. That's a story for another day. But, you know, they won it last year, that pairing, so they're obviously fired up and hungry to have another go. So shame to see them pulled off the grid.
And the gap on the right-hand side in front of the yellow car is where that number 81 car should be for Frederick Schandorf, and then later in the race his car would be taken over by Alexander Rau. But fantastic drone shots as we go down the grid, and the cars just keep on continuing. 40 cars on the entry. Super Trofeo is in very, very good hands at the moment. Very, very healthy drivers from all around the world. And this is their end-of-year party in so many ways. But the partying can't start yet because we've completed the championships, the Asian, North American and European series. But, of course, we've got 2 days and 2 races each for the finals. This is the view as we look back at our pole starter going around on the formation lap, Amaury Bonduel. What will he be thinking right now?
He'll just be trying to get in the zone. He doesn't want to think about anyone else. He just needs to get into turn 1 in the lead and then let the race unfold. Try and just get consistent and just manage the race behind him. Try and, if he can pull away, great. But you don't want to attack too early, burn your tyres out and have, you know, a late attack from someone else. We know Danny Formal and people like that are very aggressive and good racers. So, you know, he's just got to really try and manage the race from the front.
Certainly have. So there's Control waiting to press the start. This presumably is the Target Racing garage they're trying to fix. Oh, I don't know. Let me sure. Get all eyes on the screens, but really need to take a look at the grid. It's an enormous field of cars. Fans, Lamborghini owners, huge number of Lamborghini road cars in the paddock. Some people, there's a thing called the Bull Run when people came across from Portugal to here having fun. We've had cars on track the whole time, including the Ascenza's real assault on the eardrums so far. So here's the grid. Amaury Bonduel, European champion on pole position, alongside Hampus Eriksson, looking for his best result of the year for the Swede. Going down to row 2, it's former American champion Danny Formal and the young French racer, he's a real star in the making, Loris Cabarrou. Races in the North American series, actually. Giorgio Amati, by far his best grid position of the year for Iron Lynx, and another American racer, Andy Lee, alongside. Then Georgi Dimitrov and Andrea Fascinetti for VSR. That's Vincenzo Sospiri's team. Igor Oritsev, he's one to watch. We expect him to be on the front row, and alongside Largim Ali, who just missed out on the European title. Then Frederick Schandorf will not be there. He's in the pit lane. Nico Jamin, also another American racer, another French racer competing in the States. Then Pavel Lefterov from Bulgaria, and Alberto Di Falco for Vioba Course. Row number 8, Jonathan Cecotto. Look out from him. He's been super quick all weekend. And Ernie Francis, there he is, American champion, car 188, way down in 16th place. Then Paul Levette and Simon Gachet, a pair of French racers on row 9. Row 10, Enzo Garacci for the green, yellow and pink team, Oregon team. And then Lucas Agu and Dan Wells, Asian champion, just clinched last weekend. He had a problem before this weekend. When he came here, his pit crew weren't allowed into the country, so he's had to scramble. Luke Barkley, Jacob Riegel on row 12. Row 13, Joran Lenoitra, Joachim Gallas from Czechia. And then Charles Lyon from Macau, Elias de Latour. Expect things from him too. Guido Lucchetti, he had a bit of a crash yesterday. The car's fixed. Cole Kleck, another American racer, on row 15. Then Tony McIntosh went really well this morning. That is sure you're going to come up. Ibrahim Badawi and Nate Stacey, they form up on row 17. Then Rodrigo Testa from Portugal and Dimitri Engelbert for the sole racer from Pegasus Racing. Then Nico Pertilati, who races in the Asian Series, and Tyler Hoffman from the States. And the final row of the grid, Alessio Ruffini and Paul Nemtsov, who's had an up-and-down meeting. Sorry, a few more. Of course, we've got 25. Tom Capizzi and Stefan Racina. That brings up the full grid, and that really is full. Look, as far as you can see, from the approach to turn 15, the final corner, to coming out of turn 14, 40 cars coming to play, nose to tail. Nose to tail. But the front row is Amaury Bonduel from Hampus Eriksson, Danny Formal from the American Series, Lobis Caribou from the American Series, Giorgio Amati, and a third American entry, Andy Lee. Right, this is the view from Amaury Bonduel. He'll be looking at the lights on the start gantry. They're still red. They will stay red for a bit longer. The last car's on the straight now, and a very quick throw. A couple of cars going on the grass either side of the track, but Bonduel has nailed it. Hampus Eriksson has lost second place, and Danny Formal has gone out the front. He went from third to first, spun the pole starter off. Bonduel had the job done there. That was hyper late from Danny Formal. And nor did Bonduel. He must have thought, magical. I've done everything I need to do. last year's World Finals champion, out early on. Hampus Eriksson has moved through, and you can see the damage on the front of the red car. That's Danny Formal. I think he might have a little bit of explaining to do to the stewards there and to Amaury Bonduelle. And then cars trying to go 4 abreast. Safety car. And they'd only got to turn 4. There was a clash there in the first race, but there they went from 2, 3 abreast to 4 or 5 because not everyone reacted to the signal, which is up on illuminated panels around the track. So, of course, Amaury Bonduelle's car will have to be removed. Hampus Eriksson recovered. And the pink car of Andy Lee, leading Pro-Am in second place overall, the Horn of the Unicorn, working its way forward. And then the tattered nose. Look at the front right-hand corner from the driver's point of view of Danny Formal. That was from the contact with the tail of Amaury Bonduelle, who got away from pole. And unfortunately for Bonduelle, there is his car deep, deep in the gravel. And I tell you what, that's going to be a car where there's steam being produced in the cockpit, and that's just from the driver.
Yeah, as a driver, there's nothing more he could have done. He stuck it on pole. He had the perfect start, good jump. He didn't need to defend, and he just got hit in the rear corner. Like, you have to feel for him. He did nothing wrong there. I feel there'll be a penalty coming the way of Formal for that. It was a bit of a... Obviously, when the tyres are cold and at the start, there's a margin, you can make mistakes, but that was a bit desperate, I think, and unfortunate.
Well, it really was. I mean, the face of dejection, all we could see was through the window on the helmet with the eyes, but you could sense the shoulders were down, and then eventually just... What? But, you know, the weird thing for Bonduelle, it wasn't as though there was a car half a length behind him. He was fully clear, and at that point was just probably maybe putting a little bit of space. And let's take a look at the replay. How did it start? Brilliant start from the car in goal. Danny Formal's tucked behind. Not such a good getaway from the black, white and red car of Hampus Eriksson, the outside of the front row. Up the slope they go, and the gold car's in front. That's fine. The job is done. Getting busy in behind. What happened next? Hampus Eriksson was trying to hold on to second place. Danny Formal maybe mitigating and trying to get across in front of Eriksson, and then he just went into the back of Amaury Bonduelle. Bonduelle spins round. Everyone continues on the way. Eriksson goes through into the lead, followed. Well, 130 had a little push and a look, Loris Cabarrou, but it actually, well, there it is. There's the law of physics, and when you hit a car that's starting to turn in, you're carrying more speed. There's only one thing's going to happen, and the other thing was going to happen was the car in the gravel will become embedded when it goes in backwards.
Yeah, it wasn't even a nudge to the rear wheel. That was straight in the rear diffuser. So not that I would at all put any blame with Amaury. The only thing I would say is when you're in that position, just cover the corner slightly. He went right to the outside and was actually on the curb when turning in. Just stay that car length off the outside, and then you put your opponent off diving up the inside. You give Formal half a car length, he's going to put it there, but by no means is that his fault. He was the victim of unfortunate incident. Yeah, it really was. You know, slightly in Danny Formal's defence, I think he was so busy trying to make sure he'd moved across in front of the driver who started second, Hampus Eriksson, that that was his task. Then right in front of him was this golden car. Fantastic work by the marshals here. That's a big, deep gravel bed, but they've got that car hooked up. I think, quite fortunately, it wasn't actually very deeply into the gravel. They've got that out of the way. I'll keep an eye on cars under investigation for things at turn 1. Car 28, Amaury Bonduelle, well, not much he could do about things, and car 101, the car that hit it, and that's Danny Formal. Yeah, and in Danny Formal's defence, everyone's racing for position. It's not a malicious move. I don't think that's how he races or how he is. I think he's a hard and a fair racer, but on this occasion, it's just it doesn't look good for him, and the way it's, you know, left Bonduelle out the race is unfortunate. Normally, that sort of incident, be a bit of rubbing, bit of bodywork damage on both cars, and they'd continue. But unfortunately, for someone to end up in the gravel off of P1, especially when you need points in both races, that's his weekend over.
Absolutely so. Well, let's go down and join Marietta, who's got Danny Formal's teammate Ryan Norman.
Ryan, a bit of an eventful start of the race. What do you think happened?
I'm not really entirely sure. I haven't seen the full replay. I was watching down there, and that bar's in the way. But yeah, I mean, I'm not quite sure, but I think the car is okay. You know, I have all faith in Danny that he's going to give me a good car. So we'll just see how it plays out. We know the car is fast, and there's a lot of wind right now too. So we'll see how the car feels, but we're excited.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marietta. That was Danny Formal's teammate Ryan Norman, and the safety car, I was going to say, it's in this lap, it's properly in, it's already pulled in. So Hampus Eriksson dictates the pace at the restart. Andy Lee's trying to go with him.
They've gone early.
With that slightly damaged nose on his car. In third place is Danny Formal, the driver who had contact and ended up pushing Amri Bonduel into the gravel. At this corner they're approaching now, turn 1. Running in 4th place is Giorgio Dimitrov, having a very good run, tucked in behind Loris Kabiru, Giorgio Amati, and the second car in Pro-Am, Andy Lee's leading that class in second, is Andrea Frasinetti, car number 16 for Vincenzo Sospiri Racing. And in behind him is a driver lots of people really fancied his chances. Car 57, it's the blue car with the yellow wing mirrors, Igor Oretsev. He's had a second and a first in the European Championship rounds. Oh, Loris Kabiru dipping the wheels and spraying those behind with gravel and dust. And that shows at turn 8, drivers really can just dip their wheel in and cause all sorts of trouble. I'll tell you what, that was slightly earlier than turn 8. Now, as the field goes down out of turn 5, oh, bit of bodywork. That's come off Danny Formal's car in 3rd place. So clearly, from that contact, something's been weakened. I don't know how much is going to affect it, but luckily that blew clear as they're going at the fastest point of the circuit down that back straight and didn't get collected by anybody else. Here's Igor Oretsev. I think he's possibly just about gained another position there, looking and shoving, but this is a car that I think will definitely come forward. And having qualified only 9th, Oretsev, he knows he's got 2 races. He doesn't have to work his way to the front in this race. If he can get up to a podium and build on that tomorrow, you know, but if you don't qualify well, it's a tricky circuit to overtake on here.
Yeah, it just makes your job much harder. But for him now, hopefully his engineers have come on the radio and said, look, one of your big competitors is in the gravel. The other one is probably going to get a drive-through or some sort of penalty. So stay calm, pick the people off when you can, smart moves. Like I said before the race, Formal's now got damage. Him and Ryan Norman have got to carry for the rest of the race on a track that is quite aero-dependent. He'll probably be getting quite a bit of understeer through the high-speed stuff, which is something he's going to have to just manage now.
And also, don't forget, when your car, as you point out, that when your car's slightly damaged, that doesn't often tend to make the tyres as good as it might be. Overtaking manoeuvre up the inside. Ambitious.
Quite aggressive, that.
That was Largim Ali, who lost out on the European Championship, up the inside of Alberto Di Folco. And luckily, that didn't end up with another car in the turn 1 gravel trap. So let's run down the order. It's Hampus Eriksson leading the race from Andy Lee, the American racer, not only second, but he's leading the Pro-Am class. Danny Formal with that damage, and the car that's gradually getting smaller as bits fall off it. He's holding down 3rd place. And Georgi Dimitrov, who's having a fantastic run, he's in 4th, ahead of Loris Kabiru and Giorgio Amati. Here's our race leader, black, white and red, and braking as late as he possibly can into the hairpin. Look just under the Andalusia gantry, and the cars weaving left and right. I thought there might have been a passing move.
That's Johnny Giacotto all over the back of Alberto Di Folco. Yeah, Alberto's been struggling a lot this weekend. He's normally really fast. He seems something's not quite clicked this weekend for him. He's definitely out of position where I'd expect to see him, especially in a Super Trofeo car.
Yeah, entirely. So 125, one of the American entries, is in the pit lane, driver out of the car and therefore out of the race. So 125 Alliance Racing, that was Luke Barkley. So that's unfortunate for him. And as we keep on saying, this race, the results from this get combined with the results of the second one tomorrow. So you've got to score well, not just once, but twice. And that's what Nico Jaman's thinking. We're riding with him on board, car number 104, outside the top 10. In 12th place overall, just behind Jonathan Giacotto. There's Jonathan in the dark red and white nose car. And the black and red Answer Motorsport car in behind a 188. North American champion Ernie Francis didn't qualify at all well. He's down about halfway down this grid. I think he was 19th, so he's got to keep chipping away. Hampus Eriksson leading the race by 1.9 seconds. Building. And in his position, he'll be praying, please, no safety car. Well, let's go down. Andy Lee's flying in that pink car. He's just lost one position, but let's go and hear Slade Stewart, his teammate with Marietta.
Slade, Andy's doing a sensational job out there so far.
Say again?
Your teammate is doing a sensational job out there so far.
You know, we're early on in the race, but Andy is absolutely doing an amazing job.
And what do you think can happen when it's you getting in that car? Do you think you can keep that pace and speed?
You know, I got to get everything I can. The World Finals, we're all back at 0 points, so it's up to the next 2 races that are going to dictate the outcome for our Pro-Am championships.
Who do you think are going to be your main rivals on track for a Pro-Am victory or a Pro-Am podium?
You know, it was pretty clear in qualifying that some of the European drivers are very, very quick. I think I was the fastest American driver, AM driver. So I'm going to have my work cut out for me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marietta, down there with Slade Stewart. And Jack, that's just worth pointing out. we've got the pros and we've got Pro-Am. So all the pros who've got
Can we talk
an Am
about what happened?
teammate, you know, they have to hope their Am mate can do the job required of them. And really, if you're running in the Pro-Am class, you know other cars have an Am as well, but it's how those two Ams stack up against each other.
Yeah, definitely. Between the pros, it's a marginal difference. All these guys that are in the pro class or the pro within the Pro-Am car are pretty fast, but the Ams, there can be big differences. So in some of the cars that are entered...
I'm with Luke Beckley.
Okay, well, let's dive down the pits. It's busy. And did you say you got Luke Barkley?
Yes, indeed, I'm with Luke. Luke, I'm very sorry about that so early retirement. Can you tell us what happened?
Some not so smart driving from people that are trying to win the race before it goes green. It's kind of par for course, unfortunately, at World Finals, trying to win the race before it even goes green. So I got smashed in the back, and that was it. From there, the car didn't want to turn left, so now we retire for no reason. Not so smart driving by a lot of people out there.
Another opportunity to fight for a good result tomorrow.
Absolutely, yeah, we'll come back stronger tomorrow. You know, can't lose hope. Still one more race to show them what we got. We made leaps and bounds this last week with this Alliance racing car, and we've gotten in a good spot. So for us, it's more of a test day to continue to improve the car for the team and come back stronger for next year as well.
Thank you very much.
Well, that is disappointment writ large over those comments from Luke, and it got very busy around the middle part of the grid. We were looking as Anne-Marie Bonduel went up top, but they were 4 abreast with cars on the track on either side, and I did sense there was a little bit of contact down there, so let's hope we don't have any more of that either for this race against the second one of these Pro and Pro-Am races tomorrow, or the Am or Lamborghini Cup class. But you know, you travel across the world to come racing, you're desperate as a young driver or even as an old driver to get a good result, and the frustration clear to be heard. Right, this is the battle for third place. The Pro-Am class leader, Andy Lee, 114, leading the way. Giorgio Dimitrov in the yellow Iron Lynx car, pressing him, and behind Loris Cabarrou, the black and orange car for Ansa Motorsports. He's got a second Iron Lynx car in behind him. That's Giorgio Amati, and second of those yellow cars. It's a fierce, fierce battle. But right now, Andy Lee, his real battle is actually with someone who's just at the left-hand side of your shot, car number 16. That's the next car in the Pro-Am class. It's Andrea Frasinetti who's running 7th.
Yeah, so that's what we were saying before about the Pro and the Pro-Am. So that number 16 has got 2 young guys driving in it. So although they're in the Pro-Am class, they haven't got a true gentleman driver. So when the second driver gets in that car, you know, they're going to be at an advantage. And that's the thing. So for Andy Lee, he's just trying to build as much margin as he can when he gives the car over, that hopefully that extra space and hopefully the people between the 2 cars will allow them to hold on to their position.
Yeah, but I tell you what, while you were just talking there, he's actually lost one of those cars as a buffer, because Giorgio Dimitrov dived down the inside of him, almost seemed to catch Andy slightly napping into the turn 6 hairpin, and very shortly avoiding contact, but I don't quite know how, because Loris Cabarrou wants to come through as well, and that means there are only 2 cars between him and the white, yellow and blue car in the background, which is Andrea Frasinetti, second in the Pro-Am class. Keeping an eye on the gap between Hampus Eriksson and Danny Formel. It's coming down by tiny increments. It's 1.8 seconds at the moment, but he lost the buffer of Andy Lee when Andy went slightly backwards. Now Andy's down to 4th place because Dimitrov has gone through. There goes Lee in that bright pink car with the uniform livery, the unicorn livery on the side, but he's going to have to defend hard. Second car in that Pro-Am class is the one there, the white, yellow and blue car of Andrea Frasinetti. Tucked in behind is still one of the drivers who could yet feature in the race. It's Igor Oretsev, the metallic blue car from Artline, Team Artline. Well, let's go down and speak to another American racer with Marietta, Giano Torino.
Is it on?
It looks like you will have some overtakes to do when you get on track.
I'm ready for it. I don't know how many, but we'll go out there, we'll see, and main goal is to go out there, have fun. We're definitely going to try to go for the win. But yeah, I'm excited.
It's funny that you say you're going to try to go for the win, because in the last years, normally we see the European drivers having an advantage, but you do feel you can go for that victory.
Yeah, last year it was a huge disadvantage to the Americans, but now it looks like we're all equal and we all have equal fighting pace, and that's what gives us hope that now we know that we can go do it. So
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So yeah, they're down in the middle of the pack, 188, actually not middle, towards the front, 13th place overall, with Ernie Francis just tucked under the rear wing of Nico Jamin, a driver French by name and nature, but does race alongside Torino and Francis in the North American Super Trofeo. Right, yeah. The first day we had of racing here was on a wet track at various degrees of wet, but today they can use every inch of the curbing through that chicane, can't they? Before it was a bit of a risk.
Yeah, it's fully dry now. It's been dry for a couple of days. The track temperature's a little bit higher, but not too high. It's, you know, we're still in the middle of November, so it's sort of almost perfect conditions. The engines run really well in this sort of low 20s, high teens. Track temperature's nice, so you haven't got to worry too much about tyre wear in terms of track temp, although you have to manage these hand cooks around this track because it's quite a high degradation surface, and these tyres don't like to be over pushed. As soon as you start leaning on the rears too much, you start struggling for traction.
And how much drop off do you reckon you get if you've really, or your teammate has taken the life out of the tyres over the final 10 minutes? I mean, are we talking you going a second a lap slower, or just closer to an accident more of the point?
I mean, I personally haven't driven this tyre. I've heard if they are really over pushed, it can be you are really hanging on at the end. But I'd imagine if you've got a teammate that looks after them, maybe the drop-off throughout the race, plus obviously the fuel decreasing, you're probably looking at maybe at the end similar lap times, maybe slightly slower because of the rubber degradation. But if you've got a teammate that's really hard on the car, you might be, you know, losing a couple of seconds a lap towards the end.
Okay, right. We're talking of Nico Jamin. He's running in behind Jonathan Tricotto. You'd expect both of these to come forward. The 211 in front is definitely gaining ground through the course this race from a sort of mid-grid position. Skies, it was bright blue all day, but it's getting a bit grey, but the track is dry. This is turning into turn 9. And we've seen a few rather bold overtaking manoeuvres here that have involved cars going across the grass. Doesn't really tend to work. Turn 10. And then, of course, you have that little short straight down to what used to be a fabulous sweeping corner, but, you know, has had this chicane inserted 11, 12 and 13, and then the flick to the right, going behind the paddock. And then up to a hairpin that doesn't produce much overtaking, but it's still worth trying up into turn 15.
Yeah, it's quite hard because the track's so narrow and just the nature of the corner. It doesn't really tend to invite people up the inside unless someone makes a mistake on the way out of you know, that small chicane, 11, 12 and 13. Then you can line them up and get a good run. Really the best overtaking opportunities, turn 1, turn 6, and then other than that you have to really try and pressure your opponents into a mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's been as you've seen, Giorgio Dimitrov.
But due to the nature of the track, when someone makes a mistake, it can be very costly.
Yeah. Second Iron Links car now attacking the pink car. Let's have a look. So the order is Ericsson, Formal, Dimitrov, Cabarou's just gone through now. Andy Lee back into 5th place. And that's the point at which Loris Cabarou went through to move up, take 4th. So the pink car is falling closer to the white car. It sounds simplistic, but these are the two cars fighting Pro-Am honours. And in the pink car, Andy Lee, he'll hand over to Slade Stewart. There's Giorgio Amati between his car and the second car in Pro-Am. Andrea Frasinetti, the white car, Vincenzo Sospiri Racing, are both being given a hurry-up by the car at the back of this group. There are, blue with the yellow flashes, Igor Oritsev. In the European Championship, he took a 2nd and a 1st here in a fantastic flurry of strong late-season form. He's my dark horse. Started down in 9th place. Amory Bonduelle from pole was the favourite, out at the first corner. And the incident between him and the car that assaulted Danny Formal is going to be investigated after the race. So clearly no decision now. We'll keep an eye on the results, but it won't affect Amory Bonduelle's result because that is a straight R for retirement, but it may affect the car that's running in 2nd place at the moment.
Yeah, I'm sure the stewards just want to go through the data and the video and actually assess it properly. What I hate is when they make a rash decision mid-race. You can't recover that. If you give someone a drive-through, that's game over.
Yeah.
At least after the race, they've got all evening to go through it and make a proper decision and do the right thing, you know, for the situation.
Yeah, entirely so. But for now, Danny Formel is continuing in 2nd place with a little chunk out of the nose of his car from where it clattered into the back of Bonduelle's gold BDR competition car. But the gap is gradually coming down in the Pro-Am battle at the moment. Better place is Andy Lee in the pink car, 114 in 5th overall. And the challenger is 16, 2 cars back. Andrea Frasinetti, 3rd car in class, is a country mile away. It's way down the orders. They're about at least 10, 12 places clear of the best of the rest. So they'll both be looking, even if they finish in this order, to have a very sizable advantage when they go into tomorrow. They're sort of protected with 15 and 12 points, according to which of them finishes ahead. The next car will still get 10 points, but, you know, they're not going to be overtaken by it.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure you'll find the Frasinetti car, he'll be not just worrying about the Pro-Am, he'll be hungry and chasing the overall race because he's a young guy. He's aspiring to obviously, hopefully become a professional one day. He's going to be trying to race all these guys around him because the chances are they'll be coming back next year in the Pro class, him and his teammate Ignacio Zanon. So, you know, they're going to be wanting to prove themselves in the overall standings as well as the Pro-Am standings.
Absolutely so. And you wonder why the cars are in the pits, because the pit window opened just almost precisely 1 minute ago, but none of the big guns are coming in yet, and particularly in the Pro-Am. Oh, Igor Oritsev is, but you see, he is one of the solo drivers, and he's been caught behind others. He's probably quicker than almost anyone out there, but he was running in, what was that, 7th, 8th position. Wise decision. And for those in the Pro-Am class, they will probably stay out quite long because most of them have got their Pro in to start today, and the Am will finish the race. But if you've got your Am in to start, you'll come. But Igor Oritsev, he may well gain 2 or 3 positions by making this early pit stop.
Yeah, it's a smart move. There's no tyres or fuel in Super Trofeo, but you still have what essentially would be the undercut. You stop early because you're in traffic, get some clear laps when you come out the pits, and that next sort of 8 minutes of the pit window being open, you find 2 or 3 seconds. So then once the cars all flip and it's all reset, he's found that 2 or 3 seconds to jump the 2 or 3 cars in front of him. So very smart move by him and his team.
Yeah, worth the roll of the dice doing that. So the Artline team thinking on their toes. Andy Lee continues to do a fantastic job, and he'll also be quite thankful. Giorgio Amati is tucked in behind him, keeping the chasing Andrea Frasinetti off his tail in this battle in the Pro-Am class.
That is a fantastic livery on the 114. I absolutely love it.
Well, it causes a huge stir on the North American scene. There's also a car called Rexy that races in the World Endurance Championship green with a dinosaur appearance.
Yeah.
And why not? Something a bit different. Right. So the pit stops 86 seconds from pit in to pit out. If you go under that, you're going to get a time penalty. But if you're driving solo, it's 89 seconds. So again, Igor Oritsev stop will cost him 3 seconds more than his 2 driver rivals, but I think the timing of it will be very important. Andrea Frasinetti getting a little bit frustrated being tucked in behind Giorgio Amati. He wants to get off after the pink car of Andy Lee, but I tell you what, this lap's been very good for Lee and no good at all. About a second has been lost by Frasinetti in his chase. Don't see if there was a little mistake in front of him by Amati, but they've really fallen off the tail of the pink car of Andy Lee. So good news to the American Pro-Am crew.
Yeah, they got a little bit squirrely through turn 11 and 12, so I think that allowed Andy Lee to just build a little bit more of a margin. But if I was engineering car 16, I'd be telling him to just be patient. Don't have a crash with a pro car. We want to win the Pro-Am title. That's our main priority. If you can race safely, race. But we can see the car we're racing, and we know once the pit stops happen, we've got the advantage. So just stay cool, look after the tyres, and you know, if you can pass, do, but sit tight.
Yeah, now he is starting to be a little bit delayed by Giorgio Amati, and that's actually bringing another car onto his tail. Car in the background, black with a green nose, is a car that was challenging for the European Championship, then had actually a rotten meeting for Largim Ali, the Danish driver at the wheel, and his Swedish teammate Oliver Soderstrom. This is a car that's shown great pace across the season. It was right in the heart of the battle early in this race, but it's just moving its way bit by bit up the order, and that could be another one that comes into the reckoning. But only if he can catch the cars in front. It's not in terms of needing to pass them, it's about just reducing the gap to the race leader. And in fact, talking of gaps, race leader Hampus Eriksson 1.7 seconds clear for Target Racing from the American racer Danny Formel, who maybe has a slight sword of Damocles hanging over him with his incident that ended up with pole sitter Amory Bonduel in the turn 1 gravel. But we'll come to that later. Giorgio Dimitrov, haven't mentioned him too much, having a fantastic run, car number 43. Now this is the car with Danny Formel coming in from second place. You can see that, well, when we look at the front end, you can see there's been a bit of damage, a bit of the bodywork above the front right headlight. That pinged off after a handful of laps, but little cut on the nose shows there has been contact.
Yeah, stopping in the middle of the pit window, quite interesting. So they're obviously confident with Ryan Norman as well, that both drivers are fairly evenly matched. Yeah, looks like they could be on for a good result.
Yeah, and don't forget, of course, it wasn't as though he's being held up by the race leader, because he's just under 2 seconds down, about 1.7 seconds down on Hampus Eriksson, who's driving really, really nicely, smoothly. And now there he is, there's Eriksson, and he's got nobody immediately near him. That was taken early in the race when Andy Lee, this super slow-mo, was tucked in behind him. Lee, leading the Pro-Am class in that pink car, has fallen back a little more. Let's take a look at the scars of battle. Yeah, front right-hand corner's a little bit compressed from where it should be, but what's the message on the side? Keep on believing. Don't stop believing. Well, that's obviously what they're going to hang on to for the remainder of the race, that they can pull this off. Can they make what was second on track into first? And then, of course, they can face the stewards afterwards saying, we did at least come first. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. So the car from Lamborghini Palm Beach, that long... Oh, no, this is exactly what you were talking about. Do not throw the car off the track, Andrea Frasinetti. You're running second in Pro-Am, and that has happened. Did he jump? Was he pushed? Actually, and to some extent, it doesn't matter. He's in the gravel, and that is where you go from... That's the old hero to zero shift, isn't it? Well, let's take a look at what went on. So he went up the inside of Giorgio Amati. No blame can be attacked to the car that was pushed. I'm afraid that was one Italian, a young one, pushing another and ending up deep in the dirt. So he can have the long walk back to the team and explain to the management of Vincenzo Sospiri what exactly was going through his mind when he made that move.
And that is literally what I said about 5 minutes ago. Don't have a crash with a car you're not directly racing.
And he would have been coming in within a minute or so anyhow.
Yeah.
He might have had 1, possibly 2 more laps. And again, I think that boils down to just the sort of bloodlust to make an overtaking manoeuvre. But this is a race with 2 classes. That wasn't the car he was competing in. It was slowing him. He could see that Andy Lee was escaping, but the message to Andy Lee and to Slade Stewart waiting to take over, suddenly, guys, it's come our way. The pressure is off.
Yeah, sometimes as a driver, even a young driver, you have to be mature enough to actually come on the radio and say to the engineers, actually, guys, box me now. Box me 2 laps early, even if I'm the faster of the drivers. Box me now, give my teammates some fresh, clear air, reset the tyre pressures, and let's go again. We're not racing these guys. Yes, they want to prove themselves. They're young and they're hungry for success, but unfortunately, if you end up in the gravel like that from a desperate move that wasn't necessary, him and his teammate now can't win the World Finals in Pro-Am.
No. And that would have been a massive boost to their careers, early careers. They've driven very well all weekend until that point. They were fast, the cars clearly good. So just one of those frustrating things, but when you have so many cars out on a track, and another point, of course, that we've had the World Finals here before. 2019 was the last time Lamborghini brought the show to town, but it's a tricky track to pass on, and you do have to bite your bottom lip and go, okay, suck up the frustration. But the fact he went out trying to overtake someone with whom he was not racing is something that we presented to Andrea, unfortunately, probably time and again, to make him learn the lesson.
Yeah, he's certainly going to... He won't do that again. He will have learned... That is... talk about learning the hard way. That is learning the hard way.
Okay, someone who has almost been untroubled in this race. He started second, lost position on the run up to the first corner. Maybe thank goodness he did. So Hampus Eriksson was then in the lead by the time there'd been that clash. And the Swedes had a fantastic run. He's one of the solo drivers, so his pit stop will be 3 seconds longer. And it could well mean that brings him out behind Ryan Norman, who's taken over 101 from Danny Formal. But we will see. Let's see. Because their pit stop is a 2-driver lineup, which could be 3 seconds less, 3 seconds shorter than it is for this. But Hampus Eriksson, of course, I still think in these races a fairly major advantage to drive solo. Yes, 3 seconds longer at a standstill, but you go back out, you know the state of the track, you understand the state of your tyres. Of course, we're just seeing a bit of pressure being taken out there to tweak it a little more to the way he likes it. Why do they need to drop the pressure?
So you obviously start the race with air in the tyres, of course, and as the tyre generates heat, the air pressure increases, and when it gets to a point that the pressure's too high, it's like driving on chewing gum. The tyre starts rolling more and the car starts doing strange things. So then what you can do, also the difference between cold and hot pressure is different. So when the tyres are hot, you then drop the pressures. So then when you go back out, they're at the right sort of level, because you basically set the pressures cold to be correct when they're hot. But obviously as you drive more and more, they keep raising, and then they get to a point where they're too hot. So then you have a chance to just drop a bit of air out, level that pressure, and hopefully the car starts behaving in a sort of manner you expect.
So any young racing driver who wasn't paying attention in chemistry and physics at school, you are the losers. Right, Hampus Eriksson comes out, and importantly for him, I worried he'd come out behind 101. That means Brian Norman wasn't able to go past. So that is there was a very good in-lap there, clearly, or a couple of laps before the pit stop, because that 3-second deficit that was potentially going to put him out in second has put him out back in the lead of the race. I think Edgar Malouin is in second place, taking over car number 43 from Giorgio Dimitrov. And for Hampus Eriksson, that he will be delighted. In the background shot, we've got young American racer Bryson Morris in 4th place. So the first 4 cars after the pit stops are covered by 2.6 seconds. Excellent. We've got 20 minutes of racing. The pit window is now closed, and Hampus Eriksson will be going, this is good. Is this going to be the 15 points that he can put in the pot today to build on tomorrow? Well, let's wait and see. But he's been so super smooth. And in behind, Edgar Malouin does not have as much Super Trofeo experience. And maybe, just maybe, he will start to back up those behind him. And let's hope the frustration doesn't grow. Or maybe Edgar will deceive my impression and pick up the pace more and more. But for Iron Lynx, they'll be delighted to see their car running in second place. Can they go on to victory? But actually, the one I'm really looking at is Bryson Morris in 3rd place, 4th place, 3rd place in that group. He's been getting better and better.
Yeah, it can get quite interesting now for, you know, 43 in second place. He needs...
Okay, now one of the drivers who was working his way forward, he came here with hopes of the championship, is Lagim Ali, and he's down, and we've got a safety car. Suddenly the pace dropped away. Maybe we can find out, Marietta, when you're talking to Lagim, what exactly the safety car is out for.
Ali, first of all, can you tell us about your first stint? How were you feeling on track?
It was a bit difficult, to be honest. It's behaving, like the car is behaving very different compared to what I thought it would be. It's very difficult to drive. Yeah, that's it, really.
And obviously with the World Finals, it's a new opportunity to fight for a podium or for a win at the end of the weekend. But how do you reflect now on what happened yesterday in the Super Trofeo?
It's a tough pill to swallow. When that second safety car came, a bit of me died in the car, honestly. It's very difficult, but I have to focus on now and focus on the World Finals.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You can feel that disappointment. Safety car, and the answer as to why it's out there is because, of course, the number 16 Vincenzo Sospiri racing entry with Andrea Frasinetti sitting aboard is going nowhere. Ashton Harrison watching on from the pit garage. And again, great to have so many North American racers, Asian racers, and joining all the European gang. 86, or was it 83 cars came to play across the 3 championships. It's unbelievable the sort of successful feel and the sheer numbers, the way that Super Trofeo has grown.
Yeah, it's a super successful series now. It really is probably one of the best, if not the best, one-make series for gentlemen drivers and for young drivers, you know, aspiring to be professional.
Okay, let's just run down the order after, well, in the quiet of the safety car period. So we saw Hampus Eriksson, brother of Marcus, and he went the wrong way there. Coming out of the pits, he managed to negate the 3-second disadvantage of driving solo, came out to the front of the field. Edgar Malouin, in the young French racer in the yellow car from Iron Lynx, is in behind, and the car that was second before the pit stops is now 3rd. Ryan Norman on board 101. He's taken that over from Danny Formel. Running 4th, Bryson Morris. Running 5th, still working his way forward, Igor Oretsev. Just look, he's driving solo as well, so he's also sucked up the extra 3 seconds at a standstill, but he was 9th before the pit stops, and now he is up. No, he's actually 8th before the pit stops, wasn't he? Because we just had, as the car that's being pushed clear, Andrea Frasinetti, went into the gravel, that gained him a position. But he's chipped away, and I still think Oretsev could get on the podium or finish in the top 3 in the World Finals after the 2 races are combined. In the pits, of course, still crunching the numbers and stuff, but it's actually simplicity. The cars are out on the track, just over a quarter of an hour remaining, and another car is under investigation. Well, good to see Frasinetti's car is out of the gravel, but he's going to drive the drive of shame as he drops more gravel from the gravel trap and goes through turn 14. He must be thinking up what he's going to say to the team when he arrives through the pit lane. This was the car that was second in the Pro-Am class behind Andy Lee in the first part of the race, and just before the planned pit stop, fired off in the background of the shot, white car into yellow car, or more to the point, Andrea Frasinetti into the side of, it was Georgi Dimitrov, wasn't it? And no, Giorgio Amati, I beg your pardon, and into the gravel he went.
Yeah, it's never a nice place to be. At the end of the day, he didn't do it maliciously.
No, not at all.
He's just he's a young driver trying to chase success and, you know, move up the field and prove he's worthy to be in the pro class probably next year. Mistakes happen when you're under that pressure. Your heart rate's at 180 beats a minute. You're hot. You know, the cars are 60, 70 degrees inside. You're in your fireproof underwear. It is tough, and it's a split-second decision that can cost you so much.
Jack, that's enough excuses. Stop with them now.
Yeah, can you tell I'm a racing driver?
You're just revisiting the old ways. Right, now this field needs to get itself line astern. Certainly some of the quick drivers are a little bit further back, a bit out of order. 2:11, of course, started by Jonathan Cicotto. You'd expect a bit nearer the front. He propelled it towards the tail end of the top 10, and that's now in the hands of Gavin Huang, his teammate, just running around in 12th. Pro-Am still being led by the pink one, still being led by the car covered with the unicorn, and it's Slade Stewart. We heard from him before, and he's taken over from Andy Lee. He's 6th, and the next car in class is Pietro Pirolini in 21st position. The clock continues to count down, under quarter of an hour remaining in this 50-minute race. So the car that's just gone out of our shot, running in 6th overall, Slade Stewart surely is heading to 15 points that he can share and put towards his hopes of taking the Pro-Am title at the end of the World Finals here at Jerez tomorrow on Sunday. But right now we're on a dry track. Cars running at a bated pace. Safety car at the head of the queue, and the car next in line behind the safety car, driven by Hampus Eriksson. And he is waiting for that restart. He knows that's allowed Edgar Malouin a little closer to him. Drive-through penalty for a short pit stop for
14.
Car 14, and that's Pietro Pirolini, the car that was 2nd in the Pro-Am class. That means Claude Gosselin moves up into 2nd in class.
I was just about to say, after the rotten luck they had in the Euro Series, having I think a throttle and brake issue that ended up with Pietro being in the wall.
Yes.
You know, great for them to be running 2nd in class. You know, really deserved of a good result finally after what's been a really tough year for him all year with other issues, with a teammate having a big crash in Le Mans. Just when it looks like it's coming together to finish strong, you have it just shows you can't ever relax during a race. You know, you just get it slightly wrong from a calculation point of view, and it's so costly.
Well, let's see how the restart goes. The pace car has dropped into the pits. The safety car period is over, and the field is blasting away. Hampus Eriksson hasn't got much of a margin, but he's opened out a little bit over Edgar Malouin. In behind, Ryan Norman. In behind him, Bryson Morris, Igor Oritsev in the blue car. The pink car leading the Pro-Am class. Slade Stewart a little bit wide, being challenged a bit by Jesse Salman-Alsho, a Finnish racer, and tucked in behind him is Oliver Soderstrom. There we go, keeping out of the way with so many places in hand. Slade Stewart doesn't mind losing a place or two, just doesn't want anyone to shove him into the gravel as they go past. Doesn't mind the pros coming past. What did he say? He had 15 cars between him and a car that was then offered a drive-through penalty. So it's 16 cars back to Claude Gosselin. 114, Slade Stewart. He's let about 4 cars pass. Now maybe he can relax a little bit because he didn't want them to muscle out. The first 5 cars now starting to make a break. Back to the yellow car. Now, Marietta's worked hard, and I hate to hear it from a driver when they've had disappointment, but she has. The driver pushed out at the first corner, Amory Bonduel.
Mauri, so sorry about what happened at the race start. Could you talk us through what happened from your perspective?
My braking point was really good, like the quali. I turned in at the good moments, but if I'm not there, he never break any finish on the gravel, for sure.
So sorry, thank you very much.
It's just so disappointing. His body language of the car is exactly what you'd expect when you thought you'd done the hard yards. You'd qualified on pole. Nobody challenged you into the first corner, but alas, hit from behind and shoved off into the gravel. So no repeat for him. Bear in mind, he was last year's world final champion for the Lamborghini Super Trofeo. This year, zilch. His race lasted, 150 metres?
Yeah, the only consolation he has is at least this year he was European champion. So he has both titles, but not in the same year, and he won't have consecutive world championships. But if he comes back next year, I'm sure he'll be right on the money.
Now, just looking at 114's, Slade Stewart has gone from, 6th down to 12th. He's let people pass, but he doesn't want to let loads and loads. The next car in line is yellow green and pink. It's an Oregon team. That's Pietro Perolini. He's got a problem, but car 99 is the one he needs to look for. Leipert Motorsport with the excellent Kiwi Brendan Leach. He's likely to be working that way forward. So Slade has let a few people pass, doesn't want to let too many more, needs a buffer. Well, I'll tell you what, I expected Hampus Eriksson to pull clear from having twitching a bit under braking there, but he's already got 1.5 seconds advantage. And look, the clock's counted down. We've got just over 10 minutes remaining. So for Hampus Eriksson, surely he's going to be taking maximum points. 2:11 keeps on coming through. That was Gavin Huang going past Slade Stewart. Now I'm just looking in the background. There are only about 5-6 cars. I've got to double check which of the Oregon team cars we're seeing in the background. One is getting quite close to him, but it's not. I think that's not one of the ones that's running in the Pro-Am class. Yeah, it was Paul Levette is the next one in line. He's not. Oh, dearest gosh. It's almost, what would you do if you were Slade Stewart? At this point, you've got to probably stop letting people pass, but he doesn't. If they want to do that, they've done that. He's been hit from behind. Oh.
I was just going to say, what he wants to do is try and let people through where possible, because he doesn't need the pressure from the pros trying to get through. If you get in too much of a battle, you lose loads of time.
Yeah, and Benedetto Strignano is the driver who clipped him. He will limp back. His car is damaged, but for Slade Stewart and for his teammate well, he won't slip back. He's in the gravel there too, but that was the car that clattered into the back of Slade Stewart, and Andy Lee must be just beside himself that he had done the hard yards and there was nothing wrong that Slade was doing, but he was assaulted by this driver of car number 15, car 34, off in the gravel as well. So that was messy, unfortunate, but these things can happen when you've got so many cars being competitive. And today has been the day of cars being put into the gravel. I mean, you know, with this many cars, I sort of expect that to happen, but I really feel for Slade Stewart. He did nothing wrong, other than he could have held diligently to the inside line, saying you're going around the outside, but then the pros wouldn't have liked that very much.
The problem is Slade Stewart is entitled to hold his line, even if he's not as fast. He is a gentleman driver. He is racing for fun. He's doing a fantastic job, and it's up to the pros to find their way past. Same as when you get a blue flag, the rules actually say you stay on your line and that it's for the faster driver to come past. So he's entitled to hold his line. You know, you don't expect to be smashed off in the process.
No, you don't. Now, Hampus Eriksson had been galloping clear. It was very impressive. Edgar Marwan was more busy paying attention to Ryan Norman, trying to hold on to second place. But any advantage he's gained is going to come back down now behind the safety car. And bear in mind, there are a couple of cars that need to be removed. We saw car number 34 spun around. Which one did I say? That was Paul Levette for Oregon team. He's stuck in the gravel. We saw 15 limping back. That was the car that assaulted the tail end of, that was Benedetto Strignano for Scuderia Viorba course. That assaulted Slade Stewart. And of course, Slade himself stuck in the gravel up between turns 9 and 10. So what have we got left on the clock? 7.5 minutes and a little bit of small change. Will we get both cars out before the time comes to an end at the end of this first 50 minutes? I hope so. I hope we get a restart. I sort of slightly feel for Hampus Eriksson. He's done everything right so far, literally since the first corner of the race. It'd be awful if he fumbled the restart. This is the car one I'll be looking for. Brendan Leach driving that, car number 99. It's just in the top 20, but it's gaining ground. But that is now second in the, no, when I say second, of course, I mean first in the Pro-Am class. So there he was, someone I thought might gain a few positions and take those second place points, the 12 points for second place, with a 15 going to Slade Stewart and Andy Lee. But suddenly this car is now galloping its way for Leipert Motorsport with Brendan Leach at the wheel towards the full 15, because nobody else is particularly close to him. He's now up to 18th place.
And this is exactly what we said yesterday during the Asian races. You know, to finish first you've got to finish. Sometimes just having a consistent race where you make no mistakes, no incidents, is enough to win, you know, overall all your class. So great job by those guys, just keeping their nose clean, and, you know, Brendan just chipping away, picking off places where he can. He doesn't need to do anything else. He's going to get the 15 as long as he can make it to the finish now. Obviously, any passes he can make is just for pride. You know, that's just sometimes how racing goes. You know, you may not be the fastest, but you just hang on in there.
Yeah, but he's sharing with Anthony McIntosh, who's already been out in the previous race, because he's also competing in the AM class as well. He's the AM, but Brendan is very much the pro within that grouping, and in fact he was last year's European champion, and he's had great success in Super Trofeo over the years. But at this point, it's not like he's an AM having to defend. He's a pro who's having to defend against some of the AMs. So he should pick up places, pick up speed. But, you know, the big question is, will this race go green again before the end of the race? Now, we've got a car with a jaunty rear wing, but that has clearly had some contact and will have to come in. Just trying to pick out which of the pro cars that is running down the back straight. I'll work it out when it comes to me.
It's two, I think it's...
Yeah, car number 50, I think, by looks things, which would make it a car from DL Racing. That would, well, there's possibly Rodrigo Testa. Right.
114 is still in P2 in class, so good recovery by Slade Stewart getting back out the gravel and on track. They can still score some good points.
Well, they can. He's got Nick Persing right in behind him, drivers who know each other very well. Now, let's take a look. Well, that's push, that's shove, and a big avoidance from a couple of cars in behind. And Paul Levette, the yellow-green Oregon car, going around. Well, he was just trying to simply avoid what was happening in front of him. But I don't think that's going to be too complicated for the race officials to analyse that one. Yes, you could say there's a bit of an inside line, but it's a corner in which clearly the pink car with Slade Stewart was going to have to turn in. Well, let's go down and hear Marietto's got Danny Formel, who was there at the start of the race, right at the sharp end of the field.
Danny, it was a bit of an eventful start of the race. Can you tell us what happened from your perspective?
No, first of all, I want to apologize to number 28. I don't race like that. I was in a very emotional state while I was driving. I never want to hit anyone. I went down the inside, and he did go really wide. I thought there was a gap. When he closed the door, I tried to slow down, but he hit my front bumper, and he spun into the sand trap. Obviously, it was not my intention to take another driver, or hit another driver, and, you know, he's been class of the field for the last 2 years, European champion, so, you know, awesome driver. Not something I want to do, or you know, sorry, we just got passed for P3. Nothing, it was not intentional, the hit. Again, I thought it was more of a racing thing. Again, I didn't get a penalty, so I think the steward saw it the same way. But it's still not something I like to do. I did, you know, we did hit, and he didn't finish the race. And again, that's not something I like to do. So I apologize to him, to his team, and I'm grateful for my team. They gave me a great car. I was able to catch number 34, Ericsson, from quite a far back, and be quite close to him and come into the pit window. So yeah, let's see what happens. We just now P4. So yeah, nothing more to say.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you, and as often happens during interviews, it's amazing how many times you're interviewing someone about something and they look at a screen in the background and see their car going off in the gravel. It hasn't been as bad as that, but third has become fourth because Ryan Norman just lost ground. He's lost third place to Bryson Morris, and in behind, suddenly Jesse Salmonaucho is having a real tussle with Igor Oritsev. Quite a few penalties being issued. Another driver working his way forward very well is Jano Torino in that bright orange car on Oritsev's tail. Hampus Eriksson continues to lead. We've got under 3 minutes remaining on the clock. Ed Mawa holding on to second place, but and he's got Bryson Morris charging after him. First looks safe, I would suggest. Yeah, safe, half a second clear. Look, 30-second time penalties to whole group of the runners, but not front runners. Keep an eye on that, though. Still, the stewards are working their way through things in their in tray, but they haven't got much time to do it before the race is over. For now, the number you need to remember is 31. If you see any penalties without that, would be a little bit interesting. That's our race leader, Hampus Eriksson. There he is for Target Racing. He's got a buffer of space. In fact, the first 6 cars fairly spread out. It's about 7th place back, where it's getting very, very busy indeed. And I think that's 42. Jesse Salmonaucho. Yeah, Iron Links, yellow car. That explains all that. Leading car in Pro-Am is Brendan Leach in 16th place. Second in class is Nick Persing, 4 places further back, and Milos Pavlovic is third in class. But there's no doubting our race leader, Jack, because Hampus Eriksson has not put a wheel wrong.
No, he's an absolutely faultless race. He had not the best start, but he recovered, and he's led from there on in. Really super consistent, fastest lap of the race. He's managed every restart from the safety car perfectly. Perfect pit stop. You know, all these things are needed to have that end result. It's no good being fast over 1 lap and then having a crash and, you know, getting damage or ending in the gravel. He's just put together a perfect, well, nearly 50 minutes.
And, you know, one of the things that he might have been worse off had he made a better start. You know, then they would have had 3 cars. Well, Bonduelle, and then you'd have had Danny Formel and him side by side. As it was, he had Formel turn across his nose, and then Formel, of course, clipped Bonduelle. It was good to hear from Danny, absolutely apologising. Saw bits of debris that have been dropped around the exit of the chicane. This is a battle of Iron Lynx cars with around the outside. That move from Oliver Soderstrom on the inside, flipped around to the outside, seems to have a better exit speed. Well, pat him on the back. That's one of the best moves of the race. And no wonder he was challenging for the European title. Here today, it only promotes him to 7th place, but when you're out there, you've got to overtake. Now we're on to the final lap of the race, and Hampus Eriksson goes on with a 2.1 second margin. He'll take that. Oh, yes, he will. Right, leading car in Pro-Am is that one there, car number 99, down in 15th place. So Sebastian Baltazar has fallen behind Brendan Leach. Leach is now going after Caglioni, but actually he can probably relax and just sit in that group. Doesn't need to make any moves. Mind you, we've said that earlier, and it led to tears and tantrums.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Sometimes by cruising and backing off the gas, you know, metaphorically, it can actually be quite dangerous. As a driver, you need to stay on it and going forward.
We said on it, and someone was very much off it out of turn 5. One of the Iron Lynx cars running a little wide and somehow getting back to the circuit. But again, it is concentrating. When I used to play rugby, you never backed off, because if you did, that's where you slightly injured yourself.
Exactly, you just got to stay focused, and if that means going forward and making some clean passes, someone like Brendan Leach is experienced enough to do that.
Well, God, the racing is not over until it's over. Car 61 weaving left, weaving right. That's Leonardo Caglioni, who's been very impressive this weekend, leading a duo of cars, and that's right in front of Brendan Leach, who's leading Pro-Am, who must be thinking, oh, actually, just don't do anything crazy in front of me. Just a few corners to go, waiting for turn 14, and our race leader, Hampus Eriksson, 1 corner to go for him, and the Swede has that very comfortable margin. This is going to be a great result. It doesn't give him victory in the World Cup, because we've got to come back tomorrow in the World Finals and add the 2 races together, but he gets the maximum tally of points. Job done. Very well indeed for Hampus Eriksson and Target Racing, who comes home in 2nd place. Just Edgar Malois being pushed all the way by young Bryson Morris. In behind him, Ryan Norman. Igor Oritsev went from 9th up to 5th. And Jano Torino completing the American champion, North American champion, completing the top 6 positions, looking for the first car to come home in the middle of that melee of cars, that gaggle of cars. There he goes, car number 99, and Brendan Leach takes full points in the full 15 points in the Pro-Am class. Best of the rest should be Nick Persing coming through in the background of the shot. But there's a fair bit of delight down in the pit lane. Great race from Hampus Eriksson, and a race absolutely packed with overtaking and enterprise and a little bit of inaccuracy, but with a field of so many cars on a track like this, that's inevitable.
It happens at every World Finals. Whenever there's a one-off event in motorsport, there's going to be crashes. There is high stakes, high rewards, you know, and at the end of the day, realistically, if you don't finish in the top 3, 4, 5 in this race, your chances of winning are pretty slim. So probably down to sort of 5th, 6th today are still in the shout, because if any of the guys in front have a rough race tomorrow, they're straight in the picture. So it's really important. You've got to be at that sharp end, which means taking risks.
Yeah, and there's so much to look at during the course of a race that you suddenly realise some of the main players have ended up down the orders, and others have made their way forward. Some just didn't qualify at all well. You know, the likes of the car that Kiko Porto is in. He went from 13th up. You know, he's gained 4 or 5 places. That's all you can do, chip away. 2nd place today, Loris Cabiru and Bryson Morris. 3rd place, Edgar Malois and Giorgio Dimitrov, who had a fantastic race, the pair of them. But victory today, Hampus Eriksson, all on his own. And there's Bryson Morris coming home in 2nd place. So he's having an increasingly good season and could easily go away with a world final title. But and 3rd place, Edgar Malois and Georgi Dimitrov. They went well. You know, occasionally you get a couple of drivers and they do what they do through the course of the season, and they kept their noses clean today and were quick when it counted. Of course, the field was compressed several times by the arrival of the safety car, while others were cleaned up, which stopped Hampus Eriksson escaping further. But each time you have a safety car restart, Jack, it gives some people further down the order another opportunity to maybe gain a place or 2, and that's how they went all the way towards the front.
Yeah, the pit stops and any safety car periods are basically like a reset. It closes the field right up, and you know, it's another chance for people that are behind to attack. And if you're a leader, it's a really frustrating situation when you build a lead. You know you're fastest, but you could have someone get a better start than you and throw it up the inside at turn 1, and suddenly all that hard work's gone. So, you know, Hampus Eriksson managed that race absolutely perfectly. Great restarts every time. Can't do much more than that.
You certainly can't. And Brendan Leach brings home the car started by Tony McIntosh. So a Kiwi-American combination taking victory in the Pro-Am class. Second place in class went to Nate Stacey and Nick Persing. They were just 3 places further back down the order. And Milos Pavlovic, car number 33, he shared that to come third in the class with Alessio Ruffini. Good job. And Hampus Eriksson bending the roof. It's his own car, he can do that, but that's fine. So he worked hard, and that is putting his season on the sharp head. The guys up here. What, he was the first one back? So, as always, they'll be disappointed, and the people at the opposite end of the spectrum, people full of joy, full of excitement, and Hampus Eriksson is the star in the paddock right now. But that's just part one, Jack. Got to do it all again tomorrow.
Yeah, you can't get carried away. You need to enjoy the moment, enjoy the win, soak it all in, but then the hard work really only just begins, because you've got to do it all over again tomorrow. And what you've got to factor into tomorrow, you've got Amarai Bondawal, who's going to be out for revenge. Not saying he's going to go out to try and have incidents with people. He's going to want to finish the season on a high with a win. And obviously, he's got nothing to lose. So if there's a gap and he's up the inside, he's going to be going for it, and it's up to other people to potentially back out, because, you know, if he doesn't finish, it doesn't matter. But for someone who like Hampus, well, you know, he needs it.
You mentioned Hampus, we have Hampus, and he's with Marietta, the winner of the first of the Pro and Pro-Am races.
Hampus, you wanted this win so much. What does this mean to you?
Oh, it means everything. We actually had quite a rough season. As a racing driver, you always want to win, you know, finish first, and we haven't really managed to do that here in my first season in Lamborghini. So, of course, we wanted to win this race. This is the biggest race of the year, and I can't thank my team enough, with my engineer, Roberto, the team boss, my mechanics, Loris. Such a great team. I wouldn't be able to do this without them.
It was quite an eventful beginning of the race, with things happening between Amaury and Danny. What was going through your mind at the moment, and how did you manage to take things under control and just go and do your thing?
No, but I've just been thinking like I have the whole season. Just calm and easy first lap and the first stint. Just save the rears, try not to lose as much positions as possible, and just be alive. Fortunately, some people think it's the first corner is very important, so I don't know, just keep calm, I would say, and it's a winning concept, obviously.
Well, you proved that is a winning concept indeed. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Well, no need to say there's a lot of joy around that team. For Target Racing and Hampus Eriksson, he kept it clean, did the job perfectly. But there were moments in that, Jack, where, you know, not another safety car period.
Yeah, I mean, he said everything we've kind of gone over throughout the race. Look after the tyres. You can't win it at the first corner, but you can certainly lose it. And, yeah, he just got through that first 2 or 3 corners and then put together a perfect race. Stayed calm.
Calm isn't always easy, particularly when you're racing against so many people around you on a track like this. But he's got the job done. The afternoon is clouding over a bit now, but it's certainly sunny in the world of Hampus Eriksson down there. So, tomorrow we come back. Well, let's go back down, because Marietta's working the interview area. Marietta.
What a great start to the World Final weekends for these two drivers who have so many titles already at home.
Yeah, it's been great. It's a super awesome opportunity, and Lamborghini always puts on an amazing World Finals, and I couldn't have asked for a better team and a better co-driver in Brendan Leach. He drove amazing and set the car up so fantastic. So kudos to Brendan, and also kudos to Leipert for a perfect car.
Well, a perfect weekend so far for you, our Super Trofeo America Am champion, and this is our Super Trofeo Pro Europe champion from last year and winner today.
Yeah, it was a great race. Tony gave me the car in a perfect position. I didn't have to do any crazy moves. I just took everything pretty methodically and watched the chaos happen in front with the other guys. So, yeah, massive thanks to Tony for bringing me some good tyres, to Leipert for an amazing car, and bring on tomorrow.
Well, they say you have to be in it to win it, and that's what you did today.
Yes, absolutely. We went all in, and it was fantastic.
When did you realize that you were going to take the win home?
I don't ever get nervous when I'm driving, but I get nervous when I watch, so I have to walk away and let the race end, because it's too stressful for me.
Did you realize that you were going to win the race in the class?
As soon as I knew I was racing with Tony, I knew we were in with the shot. So
hell no, that's Kiwi power right there, baby.
Yeah, it was a crazy race. With about maybe 5 laps to go, I was pretty confident at that point and didn't need to do anything silly from here. So just, yeah, like I said, watched all the chaos happen at the circus in front of me.
Well done, guys. Congratulations.
Well, they worked it, they kept it clean, and that's actually just as important as anything else. Kept the tyres sweet, kept out of trouble, but you could see at almost any point on the circuit, almost every lap, it was there was jeopardy around, and it was keeping out of trouble as well as keeping your tyres sweet. But let's take a look at the results, because of course they changed with pretty much every lap through the course of that race. We know. Let's take a look at the classification. After 50 minutes of fast and furious racing, 25 laps, Hampus Eriksson won by 2.7 seconds. Could have been more, but there were safety car periods every time his lead came down. But Loris Cabarrou and Bryson Morris really made a charge up to that second place. Edgar Malouin, Georgi Dimitrov, great result for them to come third. Ahead of Danny Formal and Ryan Norman. And Igor Oritsev, the top solo driver, coming home in 6th place, just ahead of the North American Series champions, Jano Torino and Ernie Francis. And the European runners-up, Oliver Soderstrom and Largim Ali. So it was absolutely furious action. But Hampus Eriksson, after the first corner sort out that saw our pole man, Amaury Bonduel, into the gravel, he had that race absolutely under control. And down in 14th place overall, Tony McIntosh and Brendan Leach, Pro-Am leaders, and they take the maximum points from Nate Stacey and Nick Persing, who finished a few places further back. And Milos Pavlovic taking third in that class in 21st position overall, sharing very nicely indeed with his teammate. And there it is, Milos Pavlovic and Alessio Ruffini. But the podium ceremony is about to start. And those are the results, the first of 2 races that will define the ultimate results in the World Final for Pro and Pro-Am racers. So the drivers coming out, 3rd, 2nd and 1st. And in 3rd place, it was the 130 crew. Sorry, they went up into 2nd place on that final lap. They got ahead. And so 3rd place, Edgar Malouin and Georgi Dimitrov. 2nd place, Bryson Morris and his teammate, Loris Cabarrou. But Hampus Eriksson, all on his own, sitting there on the top step. He got the job done. That's part 1, part 2 to follow tomorrow. But the smile is there. He kept it clean. So the national anthem for his team, Target Racing, rings out. So just to reappraise on that final lap, we had a change of 2nd place. And Edgar Malouin and Giorgio Dimitrov, they got moved back to 3rd there because Bryson Morris built on the work of his teammate with Loris Cabarrou starting, and they moved up into 2nd place. But there was absolutely no doubting who was going to get the trophy after the first corner of the opening lap. Hampus Eriksson had this under control, and there he is, taking the winner's trophy for the first of 2 parts of the final, the World Finals, to the Pro and Pro-Am in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo. And you see the joy for Target Racing as well. Part of that, they are the winning team today. But it's not over yet, far from over. We've still got 50 minutes and 40 cars going out to play tomorrow. Jack Bartholomew, we've got a lot more to look forward to.
I imagine tomorrow is going to be equally as action-packed, if not more. Like I say, there's going to be people out for revenge to get a result to finish the season on a high. There's people that are there to try and finish the job they've started today. It's going to be, yeah, like I say, I reckon an even better race tomorrow.
You know what? 15 points for a win, but if someone who hasn't scored today, I'm just thinking Amaury Bonduel, comes through and wins tomorrow, he could still be in the reckoning. You never know what's going to happen, but Hampus Eriksson, clearly with more points than anyone else, he needs to have a sensible race tomorrow, but he showed today he can be very sensible as well as quick. And let's see, would it be the Swedes' turn? But I certainly wouldn't put any money on anything, having seen what's happened here. You know, it chops and it changes, but great racing. It might sting when you've got champagne in your eyes, but it doesn't hurt quite as much when you've got 15 points in the bag, which is exactly the situation that Hampus Eriksson finds himself in.
Yeah, he goes into the second part of the World Finals in the absolute best position possible. I'm not sure where he starts tomorrow, but he's given himself a massive head start, and all he's got to do tomorrow is just do the same again.
Exactly so. So let's take a look at some fabulous super slow-mo shots of his Bauhaus-sponsored Target Racing Super Trofeo racer. Hampus Eriksson started second, fell to third, up to first. He was first at the finish. He takes the 15 points from Loris Capra and Bryson Morris, 12 apiece for them for second place. Georgia Dimitrov, Edgar Malouin take the 10 for third. Danny Formal and Ryan Normal, they'll hope to fight back. They're still in the reckoning, having taken the 8 points for fourth place. And the points going all the way down the order. And still other very, very strong crews. Not yet at the sharp end, but they've got some points in their bank account, and that may yet be a big factor. And now we're looking to the Pro-Am podium. In third place was car number 33, which was the duo of Milos Pavlovic and Alessia Ruffini. Second place, 108, it's the American crew coming out on the podium. 108, of course, is Wayne Taylor Racing's Nate Stacey and Nick Persing. On the top step, we heard from them down in the paddock. Brendan Leach on the right and Tony McIntosh on the left.
Integrantes del podio en esta categoría Pro-Am. Ahora sí, el señor Francesco Escardone.
And so as the national anthem strain ebbs away, that's it for today. That's it for the Pro-Am podium. But you can just see the joy, Jack, as we look at Tony McIntosh. He cannot stop gesticulating and effusing, because that victory didn't look too likely. It looked as though they were heading to second place, because don't forget, Slade Stewart was building on the work of Andy Lee, who ran as high as second place on the opening lap of the race, but was taken out. And suddenly what was going to be 12 points for second, some distance back, but Slade Stewart was falling down the order, and just one of the cars that was determined to come past, not fighting against him, Pram, took him off, and the gentlemen here on the top step were the recipients, the beneficiaries of that.
Yeah, they benefited from all the incidents, but at the same time, they did a faultless job and had no incidents, and, you know, have reaped the rewards of that. And, you know, it's great to see Anthony clearly loves his racing. You know, he racing in the AM race as well, you know, absolutely getting as much track time as he possibly can. It's clearly paying off. He's, you know, one of the fastest, genuine gentleman drivers in the field.
Yep, can't get enough trophies, but he clearly has an enormous amount of fun in doing it as well. So great photo there, lots of joy. Will those three crews be up on the top on the podium tomorrow? Well, you wouldn't put your money on it, but you'd certainly think some of them will be. So let's remember the faces, they'll be back. And the American crew of Nate Stacey and Nick Persing put in another good run for them, but we will see what happens when we get to Sunday, the final day of the Lamborghini World Finals for 2024. The two races, remember, first one for AM and Lamborghini Cup runners, and the second one for this group, the Pro and Pro-Am pairings. We'll see how they shake out. Who will be the winners tomorrow? We do not know. And this is the car that took victory for Life at Motorsports, started by Tony McIntosh, brought home by Brendan Leach. Winners in Pro-Am in eventual 14th position overall. And there is the spread of points from the 15 points for victory. Nick Persing, Nate Stacey, they take the 12. Then Milos Pavlovic and Alessia Ruffini, they were third, they take 11. Tom Capizzi and John Dubez didn't see too much in the race. I'm pleased to see Andy Lee and Slade Stewart got back out on the track, eventually out of that gravel. At least they got half as many points as the race winner. It could have been them with the 15. They take home 7. So that is it from us today. That's goodbye from me, Bruce Jones, and from Jack Bartholomew, who's expert alongside me. Do join us tomorrow for the World Finals, and we'll leave you with the highlights.